Should the government run grocery stores? If you're Boris Yeltsin, the answer is a resounding niet. In 1989, Yeltsin visited Randalls Supermarket in Webster, Texas. When confronted with the variety and abundance of a private grocer compared to government alternatives in Russia, he put his head in his hands and said, "What have they done to our poor people?" Then he went to a sex store where he really saw some stuff, and he started crying uncontrollably. I think because of the abundance, maybe because he was into that. Either way, now he's in hell. Capitalist hell, which is basically just Las Vegas with stalactites, as opposed to socialist hell, which is like regular hell only with longer lines. Despite the entirety of the 20th century proving again and again that the government just doesn't run grocery stores as well as private actors, New York City is eyeballing a socialist mayor who wants to do it again. Here's why that's a bad idea. When a private-run grocery store has more customers than it can handle, it's a good thing. They'll rush out to get more products to sell, maybe open up a second location, maybe expand into sex toys. I would. Whereas every new customer at a government-run grocery store is a drain on resources. That's a problem. If the People's Pantry sells at market prices, then what's the point? If the city subsidizes groceries below cost, entrepreneurs will buy up the cheap goods and sell them secondhand, in which case nothing has been accomplished other than subsidizing the guy who buys up all the avocados at 9 a.m. Pete. The city could get around that by rationing one avocado per person and make everybody stand in an avocado line. But if the government undersells market prices, it's gonna have to do so at a loss, at taxpayer expense, incentivizing the government to sell less of those groceries. Grocery stores have to perform well. They have to provide stuff people want at prices they can pay, or they go out of business and they hang themselves. Government-owned grocery stores don't have that pressure, which leads to less innovation, weird fruit nobody asked for, like a Kiwano melon, and not enough fruit people do want, like those big green stripy things with red gunk inside. I love that shit. If they work well, they'll drive out local bodegas. However, it's much more likely that they just won't work well, because they'll have mandates to hire union workers, which will drive up the cost, providing generous pensions, which will drive up the cost, and providing whatever the mayor thinks you need rather than what you want. Time and again, when a government is idiotic enough to get into the grocery store business, it winds up with long lines, empty shelves, bad products, and rationing. When it comes to food, the invisible hand of the market just works better than the visible jackboot of a bureaucrat. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go buy some stripy fruit from my local sex store in hell!